The former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort took a swipe at his ex-business partner, Paul Gates, today after Gates took a plea in the Mueller probe. In a statement, Manafort wrote, notwithstanding that Rick Gates, forgive me, I said Paul, Rick Gates pled today, I continue to maintain my innocence. I had hoped and expected that my business colleague would have had the strength to continue the battle to prove our innocence. Now, Gates pleaded guilty to false statement and conspiracy charges in connection with work he and Manafort did for the government of Ukraine. And none of the charges had any connection to President Trump or his campaign. Joining me now, Andrew McCarthy, a National Review contributing editor and former assistant U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, a man who saw a lot of this coming. Andy, first of all, these we don't want to discount. These are very serious charges against both men, and Mr. Gates pleaded to 2, including conspiracy. That's serious enough, but nothing related to the activities of the Trump campaign, which leads me to ask an eternal question here. Why do we have a special counsel?
Well, that's a great question, David, because it really does seem that there's no reason that the Justice Department could not have investigated Gates and Manafort for what you correctly say are, very serious charges. Now, I think what they'll say ultimately is that there's a lot of evidence of these 2 guys colluding in different contexts with people who are connected to the Kremlin, and it was very poor judgment on Trump's part to bring them into the campaign. But as you say, nothing they've been alleged of doing is related to their activities in the context of the Trump campaign.
I mean, the special counsel, and again, this is no breaking news, but the special counsel has a purview to look into whether or not there was any connection between the election campaign and Russia. Okay, that's his purview. But it looks more and more like he thinks that the president is his suspect. He's going to squeeze anybody who can give him anything that'll pin something on the president. But the president is a suspect without any charge of criminal activity. And that goes against our system of justice.
Yeah, I think that's one interpretation of what he's trying to do. And I think he would probably say that if there were any collusion between Trump and Russia, that Manafort's the guy who would know about it. So he's squeezing Manafort. But I think the other thing going on here, David, is he wants to make a record, I believe, that it was reasonable for the FBI and the Justice Department to be suspicious, because there were all these Russian contacts around Manafort and Gates, and Trump chose to bring them into the campaign. And they want to, I think, create a portrait that was a reasonable decision to make under the circumstances.
Yeah, but as we just heard from Ed Rollins, I think he made a lot of sense, too. As soon as Trump found out that this guy is a perennial operator inside the Beltway, and Ed Rollins used to work with him back in the 80s, he got rid of him. He was gone in August 2016, a couple of months before the election.
Yeah, no, and I don't mean to suggest that I think it's the prosecutor's job to justify the FBI and the Justice Department, but I happen to think that that's part of what's going on here.
All right. Well, in the meantime, we're getting a lot of evidence that there was collusion, but not necessarily between the Trump campaign and Russia, but between other people and Russia, and particularly Democratic operatives, people working for Fusion that was paid for with money from the Hillary campaign and the DNC. Questions, all sorts of questions. In fact, his indictment last week of the 13 Russians led me to wonder, look, if you can indict Russians, why did you indict Christopher Steele, who was selling this Trump dossier that was filled with Russian misinformation?
Yeah, I think, David, when this is all over, one of the telling stories that will come out of it is the disparate treatment between the Hillary Clinton emails investigation and everything that was attendant to it, and the way that they went after Trump with really myopically compared to all these other connections between Russia and other players that you're referring to. At the end of this rainbow, I think you end up with nothing, but you will never, I don't think, be able to justify the disparate treatment between the 2 things.
And it seems more and more like it is an operation with one objective, and that objective is to get either Donald Trump or somebody in his inner circle. I mean, that clearly seems to be a strong objective of this special prosecutor, a special attorney.
Well, I want to give Mueller the benefit of the doubt to this degree. I think he wants it to be said when this is all over that he was thorough. And I'm not convinced that he wants to make a case on President Trump, but I am convinced that, number one, he wants to make sure nobody can say he didn't look under every rock. And number two, I do think he wants to justify the way that the investigation was carried out by the FBI and the Justice Department.
Do you think that he is being influenced by a staff that leans heavily to the left?
It would be impossible, if you've ever done one of these group investigations, not to be influenced by everyone. On the other hand, we have to bear in mind that these guys, whatever their political leanings are, and I agree that that's something to be concerned about, they're fabulous prosecutors and investigators, and you have to hope that when they get together and they speak, they're speaking clinically rather than politically.
It's getting harder and harder to give them the benefit of the doubt, though. I got to tell you. Andrew McCarthy, good to see you, my friend. Thank you. Have fun at CPAC, which is where you are.
Thanks, David.
Okay, appreciate it.